Hello and welcome to another video for Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today we're looking at something that is now quite old, has become quite collectible and is fairly hard to find these days. We are looking at the 2000 release by Corgi from their 007 The Definitive Bond Collection series of 1/36 scale die-cast models. And this series featured vehicles from the famous vehicles from the Bond movies, and this particular one we're looking at today is of the Aston Martin DB5, which featured in the first featured in the 007 Bond movie Goldfinger, which starred Sean Connery as James Bond. Now Goldfinger was the third film to be made in the Bond franchise, with the first one being Dr. No and the second one being From Russia With Love. Incidentally, this Bond film had the budget of the two previous films put together. So there we are, how much it had increased over the course of time. And the film basically starred Sean Connery, also Honor Blackman from the Avengers fame, Gert Verhulp, who was also the Baron from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and amongst other stars there was Shirley Eaton, Tanya Mallet, Harold Sakata, who played Oddjob. So the film basically saw Auric Goldfinger, who was a gold magnate, and he planned to contaminate the United States bullion depository at Fort Knox. And Bond had to go out there and stop all this from happening. Anyway, let's get back to the item. This is the item in front of us, and it says 007, the Definitive Bond Collection, and there's a photograph of Sean Connery as James Bond from the movie Goldfinger, and it says Goldfinger 007, and at the bottom you've got the Corgi logo, and it says item number 04305 Aston Martin DB5. Okay, that's the front of the box. Let's spin the box around and see what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I've turned the box around and this is what we got on the back. So it says, gold smuggling is the name of the game, and Bond finds himself up against Auric Goldfinger, who intends to increase the value of his own gold by... there's a crease on that box actually, let me just lift that up. By using an atomic bomb to contaminate Fort Knox. 007 enlists the aid of Pussy Galore, and along with the US Marines, I can't quite read that. I can't quite read that. It's Operation Grand Slam. Named Operation Grand Slam, but not before he comes up against Goldfinger's assistant Oddjob and his steel-rimmed brimmed bowler hat, a classic James Bond film. It says, the introduction of the gadget-laden Aston Martin in Goldfinger is now cinema history, with its ingenuity-concealed machine guns, overriders, bulletproof shield, smoke screen, tyre slashers, and the never-to-be-forgotten ejector seat. It is now acknowledged as the most famous car in the world. The DB5 also featured in Thunderball and was brought back to the screen some 30 years later in both GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, this time with Pierce Brosnan behind the wheel. And of course, after that, it was also brought back for Daniel Craig. Okay, turn the box to the side, and it says 04305 Aston Martin DB5 Goldfinger 007 and the Corgi logo again. And we've got pretty much the same on the other side, 04305 Aston Martin DB5 Goldfinger 007 and the Corgi logo. This side we've got Sean Connery, and on this side we've got Sean Connery giving Honor Blackman a good smacker on the lips. Okay, that is the model in the box. What I would like to do now is I'd like to open the box, take the model out, and let's have a good look at the vehicle itself. Okay, so I've removed the model from the box, and this is what we've got. And as with all of these, it comes complete with this packet. And on this packet it gives you all the details of all the other Bond vehicles in the same series. So you've got the Aston Martin DB5, the Aston Martin Valance, the BMW 750i, BMW Z8, BMW Z3, the Gyrocopter, the Lotus Esprit, Lotus Esprit Turbo, Mercedes Saloon, the Mustang Mach-1, and the Toyota 2000 GT. So those are all of the models in that series, and there's a Corgi collector's card in there that you could fill in and send away if you wanted to, although I don't think it'd be valid anymore. Okay, this is the Aston Martin. Now, as you can see, it's still attached to the box, and it's all still wrapped up at the bottom, so I'm not going to unwrap it and take it off. But we've seen enough of these models to know exactly how they work, and you can see that it's all complete with the same functionalities as what you have on the smaller versions. Now, let's say smaller version because this is a slightly bigger version. So the original Aston Martin was a 143 scale. This one is a 136 scale, so it is slightly larger. So you've got the sprung suspension on here as well, if you can just see that. If I press that down, you've got the front firing guns, as you would expect. If I press that, if I can get that fingers into that, you can see the front guns come firing out, and obviously you can see the bullet screen at the back, which is operated by the touch of the exhaust pipe. So you press the exhaust pipe either side, actually. So there's a like double buttons on this one. Actually, this is not the exhaust pipe on this one. It's actually the rear bumpers. So you press the rear bumpers in either side. There's one either side, and you can press either one for the rear shield to come up. And of course, you've got the ejector seat in there, and you've got the villain in the ejector seat next to James Bond, who is driving. Now, this has still got this plastic around the car to prevent the roof from shooting up, but it's the same thing. You press a button, you see it's popped open slightly there, lock it back down, press the button again, it pops up, and it would shoot the villain out of the car. But because it's still got the plastic wrapped around it in position, I'm not going to remove it, because then it would not be classed as new anymore. So that's the model. Now, being that this is a slightly bigger version than what we've seen before, say being a 136 scale, we're looking at size-wise, we are running a total from length to front to back 12 centimeters. You can just see that from the top view. We're at 12 centimeters long. Width-wise, over the widest point, we're 5 centimeters. And height-wise, measure from the bottom of the tyre to the top of the roof, we're about 4 centimeters. So that gives you a good idea of the tyre. And you can see the back one has sprung suspension as well. So there's good deep suspension in both of these front and rear tyres, which I can't show you properly because you can see this is all still strapped onto the oh, actually, that's slid down. Let's see if we can, yeah, there we go. So he's still strapped on, so he won't shoot out of the car because they're still strapping, holding him into position. So you're going to need to remove that as well. But that's the seat sticking up, and it's the character from Goldfinger in there who was sitting next to Bond in the movie before he gets ejected. Okay, so that is the model. So the functionalities on this car is the rear screen, the front machine guns, the ejector seat, and the free rolling wheels. This one doesn't have the blade cutters that come out the side of the tyres. That's not shown on this particular model. But other than that, and it's really, this one is more of a grey than a silver. The one that we see on screen is silver, but they and obviously the original one that Corgi made of a 143 scale was gold, and then they produced the same car again in silver, but this one is grey, so the colour is not quite right really for the Goldfinger movie, but nevertheless it's still a nice copy. It's still a very, very nice model of the vehicle. You can also see the number plate at the front there. You've got, it says 007, and on the back again in yellow, if you can just see that, it's got 007. Red interior, as these were. So I'm just a little bit disappointed with the colour, that it's not the silver and it is the grey. Other than that, again, a great display backdrop. So for me, I would just display this on the I would obviously take it off and remove all the plastic and so on, but I would display it on that backdrop because it just looks absolutely phenomenal. We'll zoom in a little bit, and that's what you would be looking at on display. If I had this item and displayed it, that's exactly how I would display it. So there we are. Now, how well did this particular model do back in 2000? Well, I think the whole of the collection done rather well. They did produce what was there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 different models in this collection, but I think these models really were geared more for the collector than the children, because they were slightly larger. There was a little bit more detailing on these, and that most of them had some kind of functionalities. So, and being that they were what they class as a definitive Bond collection, it would suggest that these were collector models rather than toys for children. Even though on the box it doesn't say anything about being for an adult collector. It just says not suitable for... Oh no, it does, I beg your pardon. It's not suitable for children under 14 years of age. So it is, these are definitely designed for the adult collectors. So obviously when you're aiming at a higher age group, you're not going to have the volume of sales as you would if you were selling the smaller cars for the kids. But even so, I know that these were produced in mass quantities, but of course you know what Corgi is like. They produce them, they put them out in a collection, and then some years later they will repackage the same vehicle into a different packaging and it go out again. And they have repeatedly done that on all of the Bond releases throughout the years, and I'm sure this one was no exception to that. So yes, they've done very well, as all the Corgi models and James Bond related items always have done, but I don't think they sold as many as they could have done if this was more geared for a younger audience. But because of the detailing on it and the functionalities on it, there's no way it could be for a younger audience. So yeah, a bit of a pointless discussion that was. Okay, let's move forward 24 years to today's date, which is 2024. Do these come up for sale very often on the platforms? No, not really. Now you do see some of the definitive Bond collection cars come up, and they're usually the common ones that you would get in the case. Some of them were very rare ones. Some of them didn't appear in all cases. Some of them only come in some cases. So the rarer ones you really don't see very often at all. The ones that Corgi thought were going to be the most common ones, or the most popular ones, are the ones that would have you would get 2 or 3 in a case, as opposed to one or 3 or 4 in a case, as opposed to 1 or 2 of the others. So some do appear more frequently than the other, is the point that I'm trying to make there. But overall, this particular collection doesn't appear very often on the platforms in this mint, unopened condition. You can see them on the platforms in used conditions, where they have been off the plinth. They are loose in the box, or they're loose with no box. But you very, very rarely see them as this is mint in the original box. And the way obviously we have these is because we bought out some stock from a closed down shop that had been around since the 1950s, but obviously they had to close down during COVID. When they come back after COVID, they couldn't quite get things to work and decided to retire, and we were offered all their stock. at which we went in and we bought out all of their stock, plus all the stock that was in the stock room, which was the most exciting place for me, because there was stock there that went back to right back 50 odd years, that had never been put on the shelf, never been sold, or some of the items were former display items, but there was so much stuff in there that it was just like me going into Aladdin's cave. That's how I felt in that stock room when I bought out all the stock. So a whole case of these figures, these model vehicles we found. Each of these models are available to purchase on the MySuch website, and they are, as you know, in the mint condition as you see in front of you now. So no worrying about whether they're used or whether you're going to get what you order from us. What you see is what you get. Okay, and very simply to order this, you can go straight to the website by clicking the link below, and you'll be able to find this and many other vintage James Bond items and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive that this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories. Well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful James Bond Aston Martin DB5 with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.